Hi everyone. Hi. Hi everyone. I'm just adding in our guest for today. Hi. Hi Bina, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good too, thank you.
Okay, great. So we're going to straight away start. I'm just going to quickly introduce the theme and you to our audience for today, and then we'll plunge into the questions. So today our theme is our series is called Let's Talk Design. That's the hashtag that we're following. And today we'll be talking about using marble in innovative ways. We have with us Bina Bhatia, who's the founder of Blank Slate Studio. And I'm just quickly going to introduce the Blank Slate Studio as well. So, Blank Slate is a collaborative design practice that focuses on architecture, interior, and urban design. Blank Slate strongly believes that architecture is a symphony of aesthetics, function, and form. With each project, the studio strives to not just embrace but challenge traditional methodologies of design and build typology while reinterpreting traditional architecture and urbanism in the contemporary context of modern India. The firm has completed projects of various scales, ranging from residential and corporate interiors to retail showrooms, private villas, and master planning schemes. Bina Bhatia is an architect and urban designer. She approaches each project as a placemaking tool embedded in the urban fabric and responsible for the public realm and vibrancy of the city. She moved to New York in 2014 to pursue her master's degree at the Graduate School of Planning and Preservation and contributes to the Blank Studio in an advisory capacity as well. At Columbia University, New York City, where she completed her master's, she was awarded the King Fellowship for her research project on informal markets in public spaces in Mexico City. Thank you, Bina. It's an absolute pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
My first question to you today would be that you do both architecture, I mean, you do design of both architecture and interior spaces. What is your criteria for picking up stones for interiors as well as architecture spaces?
I think one of our first criteria is to understand where the stone is going to be used and in what capacity. So we try and understand whether we want the stone to sort of be like a backdrop, something that's very quiet and where everything else is at play, or whether we really want the stone to sort of be the statement piece in the space where we're using it. I just want to check if you can hear me well
I
because
can hear you. I can hear
okay,
you.
okay, great. And and then also it depends on what our client's taste is, how traditional they are, how ready to experiment, how bold they want to go. That is a key concern to us as well. And lastly, it's also about the functionality and the maintenance of the space. So we may be looking at slip coefficients of the stone if we're using it for flooring versus looking at sorry looking at stain resistance if it's something that we're using in, utility spaces or kitchens. And I guess finally, always comes down to the price point. So, these are some of the different characteristics that we look for in a stone before, actually choosing and figuring out if that's the one that we want to use for the project.
Right. So stone is also used on different surfaces, such as horizontal and vertical spaces, right? Like it could be
Mm-hmm.
horizontal surfaces like floors, or it could be vertical surfaces like walls, even ceilings, for that matter. Uh,
Right.
could you share a couple of examples where you have, worked with stone and how the experience has been? And again, what are the criteria or characteristics that one should keep in mind when they're using stone for horizontal versus vertical space surfaces?
So, like if you're using a stone for a horizontal surface, especially the flooring, then, you want something that is more matte, that is something that's anti-skid, You could go in for a honed finish, which is, sort of in an in between. For some of the smaller spaces, we do try to, use, whether it's vertical or horizontal surface, we do try to go for something that has a little bit of a more polished look, because that kind of, gives you amazing reflections, makes the space feel much, much larger. For walls, we, look into how, look at the veining pattern of a particular stone, whether, we're looking at something that's very geometric or something that's very linear. So in terms of like horizontal versus vertical veining patterns, or something that's, very, very fluid. It's always a balance between also, as I mentioned before, aesthetics and, the maintenance and the actual material itself. In terms of urban projects, you do want something that is going to last for a long time, something that's more durable, something that's tough and rough, uh, with, the least amount of maintenance, something that's almost like a sort of a no-nonsense thing, because, you do keep upgrading your interiors more often, not so much your exterior spaces. So you want something that's, very, very, very sturdy outside.
Right. I mean, could you share some examples of, how you've used different stones for each of these sort of types of spaces that you spoke about?
Yeah, sure. So, I'll just briefly talk about, three or four projects that we've worked on. So, we are doing like two schools for special education in India right now. And we are using a lot of stone, mostly in terms of, flooring, and in some places on the walls. Because this is a special education school, there is a lot going on. The key focus is on the activities and, the vocational training of the children. So, we were looking at stones that sort of, are the backdrop, and then, the story happens in front of it.
Yeah.
Whereas, we worked on a sales gallery called the Cake Rub, where we used like four different types of gray marbles in different shades. We played with the tones of it, and it was a flooring. We laid out the flooring in a way where we were creating these different zones within the sales gallery to sort of demarcate where different activities are happening. So it sort of aids in your circulation. It brings your eye to a certain point, and it performs as your flooring. But that's a design feature as well.
Yeah.
And then, another project in New York is where, we were working on this really high-end luxury condo residential lobby. So, we use Cristallo Oro as a feature marble sort of piece behind the reception desk, where you really want every visitor or every tenant who's walking into your space, like the key focal point is the wall behind the concierge. So you really want to bring that out. We lit that up. So it's just, different ways of how you can use stone, uh, to bring out the best out of your design.
Right. Thank you. That's super useful. We've also seen that you use a lot of patterns and textures in your sort of high-end projects, or even the residences, right? That's where there's
Right.
a lot of play of textures that comes in. So, could you share some tips on on how to work with a diverse sort of palette which has different textures? And again, if you could share some examples on what works and what doesn't work.
So I would say, the sky is the limit. You can like literally today's day and age, you can do anything. There are infinite possibilities of what you can do with stone. You can play with inlay work, you can play with sort of brass settings within your stone to create different motifs. You could play with chips, you could play with mosaics, you play with, different sizes. You could play with book matching of the veins of the stones. So, I think everyone needs to be open to, I'm saying this for the clients out there, to kind of be open to what you can like really achieve with the stone. It's not go by, just looking at a piece of slab that's in front of you, but what it can really offer to you within your space. To sort of look at that and look at your walls or your spaces as sort of a blank canvas, and the stone can actually like, just fill it in like a painting.
Mm, that's true. That's really profound, actually. Stone is also material, like you said. The possibilities are limitless. It also complements a lot of materials. It works very well with a lot of other materials. So that leaves a lot of room for experimentation and play. How have you tried to? I mean, have you tried to sort of use stone with other materials in your designs? Could you share some examples or other materials that
Um,
you have worked with stone?
so yeah, currently we're sort of working on a master bathroom where we're looking at, how we can carve out a nice luxury bathtub from a solid piece of rock.
Right.
That's one thing we're looking at. Similarly, you can do that for, your vanities, whether it's your powder room or if it is your luxury master bathroom, and, that's the key statement you want to create. We've also, looked at fluted stone. Like you can get like these really nice marble slabs that you can like nicely flute, and they sort of can become like your entire space around within, and be on all your walls. Um, so yeah, I mean, I think there's lots and lots of different ways to play with it.
Right.
Uh,
Uh,
Similarly for, K-Craft, another project that I just mentioned. Another thing that we did there was, so, we had these places where you could display, the developers could display their sales model, and you had these touch screens. So what we did was, again, it was like a sort of very raw, earthy kind of place. So we just, proposed these large chunks of basalt stone, which sort of become the main focal piece. And instead of, having these different sort of tables that were made where you could actually keep the main display model, we actually carved this huge sort of elliptical form, and that was like the central piece of the space. So, there are possibilities, and, going beyond slabs as well.
Right, right. Yeah, that's very interesting. Uh, you're also an urban designer. A lot of your projects are master planning and urban design projects. Stone gets to be used in a lot of outdoor areas, right? What is your experience with working with stone in outdoor spaces? And what are the things one should keep in mind when laying stone outdoors?
So I would say again, identify where the stone is going, whether you're looking at it for, sort of paving and driveways, whether you're looking at it for, like landscape features, like your sculptures, whether it's going to be used for furniture, and then, decide the stone according to that particular function. For example, granite is very durable. So, you can use it for driveways. It is also very fire resistant. So you can use it for, fireplaces and outdoor fire pits. Whereas something like sandstones, which are, available in beautiful colors, they are very soft to play with. So, you could use them for your more decorative elements within the space. Whereas, doing the same thing in granite would be a lot more expensive just because granite is more difficult to work with. And similarly, slate, which is again available in beautiful colors, is something that is very soft, but it is not at all good with water. So
Right.
we would sort of restrict that, where if you have a shaded area or something, and you can take care of all the water issues, you would use it there. So it just depends on the function of what you're using with stoneware. uh, Also, you want to make sure, especially for paving, that the stone is not at all porous, because then algae starts to grow and it becomes very slippery. So,
Right.
mhm.
Okay, thank you. That's super useful. Tina, also, apart from flooring, walls, ceilings, the traditional ways in which stone gets used, is there something unique that you've seen or you would like to do with stone, or something that you've tested out in one of your projects?
So I mean, I think stones are definitely coming back in big, big ways, where you can, create like these super beautiful custom dining tables, custom, coffee tables out of stone. One of the projects I worked on was where we were using stones, and we created a custom plumbing fixture line where stones were used as sort of inlays in your faucets. And we had a range of like 6 7 different stones that could be used, depending on what your palette is for the space.
Can you
Something
could
that
you
we
tell us what stones they were?
It's been a while. I don't remember from the top of my head, but we played with Calicata, we played with some Cristallo. So it was like a range of six,
Right.
seven stones, and we
Right.
it's actually it's a line with Kohler. So if you look
Right.
them up,
Yeah.
you can see these faucets. Um, And then, I mean, something that we always do in most of our projects when, we have like leftover pieces of slabs remaining, we try and create some accessories for our clients, so whether it's something like a dining cheese plate or whether it's, some sort of, just slabs that you can use for your terraces to keep your planters or, things like that. So, in the different ways.
Okay. So I think that sums up most of, I think our questions on how stones can be used in innovative ways. Uh, Last two questions to you. One is, what is your favorite stone, or one stone that you sort of resonate with a lot?
I do love the Palisandro blue. I
Okay.
just, love how subtle and it's just a very beautiful stone.
Right, right. And lastly, we're following the hashtag Let's Talk Design. So if there
Hmm.
was one thing that you would like to say to our audience and, sort of tell the world about stone, what would that be?
So one I'm going to say is that always look at the whole material palette as a totality. And sort of trust your interior designer, when they tell you how these materials come together. Don't just look at each piece of material in isolation.
Hmm.
And when you're picking your stones, I would say, definitely, take the time out to go and actually go see the lot that you're going to be buying. Just don't make your final choices based on, like showroom samples or any other sample. It has to be the sample of the lot at the very least, because, each lot is different. You want to see how the veins are in the particular slabs that you're going to be buying, because stone is such a natural material. It can, like, be very different. Different vendors may, have the same stone, and yet they look so different from each other, just because, the veining is different. There is a bit of color tonality difference. So, you want to be happy at the end of the day. So, take that extra step to actually, go out to, wherever the warehouse may be located, to actually look at the actual slabs that you're buying for your project.
Okay, that's really good insight. Thank you so much, Bina. It was an absolute pleasure to speak to you. Thank
Thank
you
you
for
so
being a
much.
part of the A-Class journey. This year, A-Class is celebrating 50 years of being in the industry. Uh, as a part of their gratitude to you for being a part of this journey, they'll be planting a tree on your behalf, and you'll be getting a
Thank you
certificate.
so much.
So thank you so much, and thank you so much for being a part of the A-Class journey. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Nice
Yeah,
talking to you.
thanks. Bye.